Bonjour classe, aujourd'hui c'est mercredi le 31 octobre, c'est l'Halloween et je vous présente tout ce que nous avons fait aujourd'hui. So, first thing we did of course, as what we almost always do, is we do our weekly warm-ups. So I'm going to go to periods 4th, 6th, and 7th warm-ups. And today's warm-up was a cartoon, okay? And you were to go to page 43 of your notebook. You divide the page vertically, it means up and down. Title the left column, Mercredi le 31 octobre, and the right column, Jeudi le 1er novembre. Look at the cartoon to the right. Write down as many cognates, words similar in spelling and meaning, as you can find. Then write down words you think you might know. At the end of 7 minutes, you will share your information with your partner, then with the class. So they went through and they wrote down all the words all the cognates. Cognates are words similar in spelling and meaning. So like chocolat, végétalien, intolérance lactose, caramellophobique, sexiste, juste, allergie, nougat. Those, gluten, are considered cognates. Then after that, they were to go back through and write down all the words that they knew from French. Like you should have seen that avez-vous and vous avez are the same thing. This was forms of the verb, these are forms of the verb avoir that we learned. Avez-vous is just, they switched places to show that it is a question. So do you have, and I think that's gluten-free wheat for something like that. Friandise, I'd have to look that up. Madame, ma'am. So we went through all of them and we underlined or we wrote down words that we recognized besides the cognates. And then we talked about what each kid was trying to say to the lady. And we determined that it was a silly cartoon depicting what is really going on in the world today. The things that are happening, how we have so many more children with allergies and so many more people feeling that it's more healthy to go natural food here, organic, instead of processed food. We have a representation of the fact that everything can be considered sexist in some way. If you think it's a sexist word, then it is. I mean, that's kind of the way that this whole thing is going. So anyway, so we did that, and we also determined that we really know a lot more French than we think we do if we just take our time and we underline all the words that are cognates, and then we go back and we find the words that we know, and sometimes, more often than not, we can figure out what we're reading and what we can actually understand. Maybe not every single word, but for most words, we will be able to understand the context at least. So we did this. Then after we did our warm-up, we went and in our notebooks, and we opened our notebooks to page 45. So I'm going to go to my French 2 Pre-AP Notes and Activities because I typed up the questions. And we came up with 6 questions to ask someone. At what time do you do certain things? So the first thing that we came up with was à quelle heure est-ce que tu as français? At what time do you have French? Now, eventually, you are going to give me your entire emploi du temps, your entire school schedule, with what time you have all of your subjects. But since I don't know each and every person's schedule by heart, we just concentrated on what time everybody had French. So I did this 4th period, and so I just went ahead and left the time that 4th period begins. But it would depend on the class that you had me in. And we would answer, j'ai français à, and then whatever time, and then I had them write it in word form as well, just so that they would know what the numbers were. Our second question was, à quelle heure est-ce que tu manges le déjeuner? Because everybody eats lunch at some point, so that was a good question to ask. And then we answer, je mange le déjeuner à, now I put 11h58. Other people may eat later during power hour. Your time will be different. So you would write your time in number form and then in word form. Numéro 3. À quelle heure est-ce que tu arrives au lycée? This was another one that everybody does. When they come to school, they arrive at school at a certain time. So, not everybody arrives at the same time. So I put mine as j'arrive au lycée à 6h20 du matin, 6:20 in the morning, because that's when I get here. Other people may get here later or earlier. It just depends, but you write your time. Numéro 4. À quelle heure est-ce que tu quittes le lycée? So everybody arrives at a certain time and everybody leaves eventually at a certain time. So at what time do you leave high school? Je quitte le lycée à 17h. That's me. I leave at 5 o'clock. And you can write it in the 24-hour time or you can write it in the normal time. Just make sure that you add du soir. Depends on what time you leave. Yours might not be the same time as me. Numéro 5. À quelle heure est-ce que tu manges le dîner? Everybody should eat dinner at some point, so we thought that was a good question to ask. I eat dinner at 6, around 6, not exactly at 6, it just depends. Je mange le dîner à 18h. I put it in 24-hour time, but you are more than welcome to put it in normal time as long as you add du soir. 6h du soir. And the last one, everybody goes to bed at some point. À quelle heure est-ce que tu te couches? Which means put yourself to bed. What time do you put yourself to bed? Je me couche, I put myself to bed, à 21h30. That's me. That's when I go to bed, at 21:30. Or 9h30 du soir. All right, so we did this, and then for the classes that we had time in, we practiced asking each other these questions in our group and answering them. And that is all we had time for. Au revoir.